22-year-old whose decided fate was to become a doctor, but destiny took her by hand to be an artist and a fashion designer. I am from a Pathan family in Peshawar and have lived there all my life. As I reminisce the creative part of my life, I realized that I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. I remember when they held an art competition at school when I was in 4th grade and how badly I wanted to participate, but I didn't. I was scared that I wasn't good enough. I remember when they exhibited all those paintings and I looked at them and thought to myself, hey, I could have done that too. Life messes with all of us, but in my case, it messed with me for a better reason. When I couldn't get into a medical college, I felt like I had failed my parents. My mother had always imagined me wearing those white overalls. Letting her down made me feel like a failure. It then somehow didn't seem right to go for making my dream come true when I couldn't make hers. I was going to opt for microbiology or maybe biotechnology, anything but art. But it was my mother who pushed me to go for fashion design like I'd always wanted to, despite the fact that she was the one who used to say, you don't need to study art, you can be a doctor and a designer. Some 2 years ago, it was my first year in university when I finally participated in an art competition. And to my surprise, I won. My mother cried over the phone when I told her. I remember I used to be embarrassed when my relatives would ask me what I was studying at university because I was supposed to be a doctor and now I was studying art. But it changed. It changed when I saw that my parents were now proud of me. I find my inspiration in people. Their beauty, their imperfections, their insecurities, and the way their life swings between hope and hopelessness. I find beauty in darkness and sadness. Broken things inspire me. I adore creatures with wings mainly because I used to see myself fly in my dreams. And let me just say this, those dreams are unexpectedly coming true. If there's a single word that describes me, that would definitely be the word contradiction. That is bad news for many people because that means that none of the things that you've assumed or stereotyped about me as I walked onto this stage is true. As I try to connect the dots between who I am and what my art is to me, I feel like my story has woven itself through my contradictions. It took me years to realize that it might not necessarily be a bad thing. To be honest, I still struggle with it, and I am working on making peace with it. The first contradiction is what I call small city, big dreams. There exist these comments that I get regularly based on the fact that I did not choose the renowned art school NCA. I get these comments over and over again as to why didn't I choose NCA or what am I doing in Peshawar? Some don't even believe that I'm from Peshawar. Well, why didn't I go to NCA? It was because I kept telling myself that I wasn't good enough. I didn't even try to take the entrance test because I thought I'd fail anyway. I was unaware of what good the future held. I remember whenever there was some fashion show on TV and my mother would call me and then we'd watch it together. And despite knowing that medicine was the only career option I had, I'd sometimes say to her, I'm going to work with that designer someday. And then I'd get this heavy feeling that it could never be possible, that even if miraculously I ended up studying fashion or art, I would never be able to touch that sparkly world out there. But the opposite happened. I don't have a degree yet, but I have worked with a number of renowned Pakistani fashion designers. All of that living in Peshawar without having studied at a very fancy art school and discovering the internet for the first time in 2012. Backgrounds don't matter if your foreground is firm, I believe. The size of a city can never define the size of your dream or the possibility of them coming true. The second contradiction is what people assume about my work versus who I really am. You guys must have noticed that most of my artworks have a very dark theme. Well, not exactly most of them, all of them have a dark theme. The usual assumption is that the darker themes in my work may mean that I am depressed or suicidal even. But it's not necessarily that. Let me admit this. I know art is self-expression, but I have always feared this very self-expression. I mean, there's nothing scarier than being vulnerable and sharing your, exposing your dark and broken parts to the world. Even though I try to be brave enough to share it with people, I have always feared being judged. It's just that I find this connection with my darker side to be stronger than the happier side when I'm drawing. I mean, why judge art when you can simply enjoy it? Now, the last contradiction. What people notice about me first and what, in my opinion, defines me the least, my choice of wearing the niqab. Due to cultural influences, wearing one seemed like a normal thing to do, especially in me feeling safe in it when I am outside. It was never really an issue until other people started making me feel as if it's an extra burden or that I have to be extra responsible because I wear it. I do not view the niqab as something that makes a woman disappear. So I simply never found it to be restricting in my work. The complex contradiction here is that if I paint portraits, why do I cover my own face? Well, the answer to that is I am not a niqabi artist. I am an artist who happens to wear a niqab. To be cornered into self-expression and to live with an unpredictable and sometimes hostile partner like contradictions is not an easy thing. What binds my contradictions is that all of them arise from other people's assumptions about me. All of them are seeped into society's opinions and limitations. But that should mean nothing to me. I don't know if I'd keep going with the flow or for a change be the flow. But one thing I'm sure about is that I will not stop making art. That I am an artist is no surprise to me, but what I create out of this inner tension is a surprise I look forward to every day. So embrace your contradictions. You might just find a friend.